Good morning. I'm Rachel. Welcome back to Disabled Farm School. Let's plant some plants. I keep having this weird feeling like I'm forgetting something, and it's because a lot of my seed starting supplies are under this table, and that should tell you something about the state of my brain this morning, that if I can't see it, it does not exist. It is raining. It is pouring, actually. It's beautiful and dark and gray and misty, foggy, and I love rain. I love the sound of the rain. I'm so grateful for this rain. All that said, I was up for multiple hours last night because the rain was coming down so heavily that I could tell that the drainage setup, which is incomplete, on the hill behind my house, I was just stressed about it. And it's a classic. I was thinking about how that's like a thing that's happened in my whole career, gardening and farming, is that I will wake up in the middle of the night worried about water. Hi, puppy. You want to come join? Yeah, come on back. Come here. You just gotta go around the camera. Yeah. There you go. Right here. Come on. You can do it. Good job. Come hang out in the workshop. Yeah, so it's like the sound of the water. And I was just thinking back to times when I was in charge of irrigation at various farms that I worked at, educational farms that I worked at. And I would wake up in the morning thinking, oh my gosh, did I turn off the irrigation? Or, oh my gosh, I forgot to fix that one leak and the irrigation is running. Or, just whatever it was. And I don't enjoy that kind of stress, but I also think it's fundamental to the art of gardening, the life of gardening, that those are the kinds of things that it makes sense to worry about insofar as one worries at all. That's the stuff of life. It's like, that's what really matters for food, but also for safety and for tending to your resources, especially water, which is a very, very precious resource in the sense of like nourishment. The pragmatic miracle that is water, and also the power and the humility that water brings with it. It is a very cozy day, and it is a very, very chaotic and scary time in the US. So if you're having a tough time, come on in and let's get cozy and have a little while where we plant some seeds for the year and have a safe container. Seed container. I can't, the pun's not even there. It's too sleepy outside for even like a good bad pun. Yeah, let's hang out and plant some seeds. If you're new here, this is Disabled Farm School, where I, a career sustainable gardener and ecological farming educator, relearn how to do gardening, DIY, homesteading, farmsteading, with limitations from disabilities and chronic illness. But also from other things like renting or, living through multiple apocalyptic events. All those fun things that create parameters for our lives that we then have to figure out how to navigate, mostly with zero control, but little bits of agency and creativity here and there, and hopefully little bits of joy, which is what this video is all about. So, the story about worrying about water is really just to say I was so grateful for that worry. Like, I was so grateful because the things around it meant, one, there's water. That's huge. Two, I love the sound of rain. Three, the problem I'm concerned about is something that's within my scope. It's like on a scale where like I can barely access solving it because it is such a physical problem to solve. It's going to involve digging and like pickaxe, but I know what I want to do, and I've spent the last 2 or 3 years doing physical therapy so that I can now safely do it with my body. I just have to wait because I can't work the soil until the rain like at least dies down a little. That thing of like I can't do it yet. But then even the gratitude of I have something to look forward to. It's a job I'm a little nervous about. I'm going to make a video about it. It's building the back patio. It's a big task. It's going to take a while because I have to do things incrementally, because I can, if I overdo, if I don't pace myself, then I can cause severe flares in my symptoms. But if I do pace myself, I can do these things. So what I'm doing today is one of the fundamental acts of gardening, which is to plant seeds. And I think it is one of the fundamental acts of being human, to be totally honest. Now, that doesn't mean that if you can't access planting seeds, there is anything wrong with you. This is a channel all about differing access needs. So if you can't access doing this yourself and you want to partake in the joy of it, great, here you are. That's what this is for. If you do want to partake, you'll notice that I am in a seated indoor setup, and I have thought about how you could even do this laying down, but propped up. I think in that case, you probably need another person. So if you're bedbound and you want to plant seedlings, scheme with a friend to get like waterproofing set up, either a small tarp or a poncho and a bed table. And if they can do the getting the potting soil into the seedling pots for you, if they can pick up the potting soil for you, great. You can get much smaller bags of potting soil than the one you just saw me working with. And I am going to be experimenting in later videos with bedside grow light setups for things like herbs or greens. So pause the video, let me know in the comments down below what kind of indoor or container gardening setups and what crops you want me to experiment with to see if they would work. Especially if it applies to whatever situation you're in, whether you're a renter with very little or no outdoor space. I'm really excited to try growing spinach under a grow light indoors and see if we can go all the way from seed to food. I'm gonna be losing my voice, which is interesting. I did a lot of voice drills in my acting class on Sunday. I have this other life where I'm like an improviser and performer and poet and actor. And you can see some of that stuff on my website. But anyway, what I'm doing today is something that I actually highly recommend, which is planting a bunch of seeds, even though I have no idea where the plants are going to go. I have no idea if any of this will be successful. I don't know if I'll be able to follow through on it. Planting seeds is an act of hope. It is an act of staying alive. I've talked about this a little bit in my seed saving video about butternut squash, which I'll see if I can remember to link. I've never done a card in the middle of a video before because this is a new channel. So yeah, subscribe if you want to see me just be incredibly bad at two-dimensional technology and very invested in three-dimensional technology like seeds. I am basically planting everything today that doesn't need heat to germinate. Things like kale, spinach, tatsoi, one of my favorite greens. I've got collard greens, I've got broccoli, cabbage might germinate, and sort of just 5 years worth of remainders of kale seeds of different kinds that need to get planted out. Some of those are things that you can also, it's called direct seeding, meaning put them right into your garden bed or your container. I don't have anything set up outside that is gopher proof enough and also storm proof enough. The soil's moving all around because there's rivers coming down the hill. So I'm starting them indoors where they can be safe and protected, and then I will do what's called hardening them off, get them used to the outdoors. We don't have very many hard frosts, if any, here, so that shouldn't be too difficult. This year, I'm really thinking just one garden. I'm not doing a spring garden, a summer garden, and a fall garden. And the reason for that is, well, that's my medication alarm. Hey, if you also take medication for your chronic health needs, this is your reminder to take your meds. Not sure how much soil I ate during that, but hopefully it was exactly the right amount. So this year I decided I'm doing just one set of stuff in the garden because of disabled time. There's lots of different names for it, but basically the pacing required to prep a spring garden, get it in, get seedlings going for a summer garden, get them in. So I'm interested in front loading my garden for the year. And then I might do like a fall winter greens garden. But I really like building that cushion in there. Like, well, what if it takes me forever to get the garden beds ready? Like they might not be ready for an early spring garden. So I'm sort of thinking like we're doing one big arc from now until the fall of plants. I went through my seeds. I did a seed inventory. I ordered a few things that I didn't have. So my setup in terms of accessibility, I've got a chair that I can change the level of. This is at a height that I can work at without needing to hunch too much. And I am right next to the place where I'm going to keep the seedlings. I've got water ready and I've got my labeling stuff which is just pencils and popsicle sticks. Just something to keep a date on it and the variety if you want to keep track of what you like. I've also got my seeds, and I'm going to plant them. Wow, I ran out of steam fast. Chat a little bit about hope in this moment and what I am thinking about around hope and seeds and what you can do if you're feeling a lot of despair and fear right now. So first I'm going to do what's called, it makes me crack up every time. I'm going to do what's called dibbling, which is a farmer's word for making holes in the soil. The other thing I've done is the soil is already moist. Put water into the tray, this is a waterproof tray, underneath it, and this water will wick up. Soil that's already moist takes water better, and it won't run off the top and run your seeds away. I'm actually going to label ahead of time so that then I just follow the labels. Then I'm going to put my seeds in. The planting depth is usually written on the seed packet. You can also judge it by the size of the seed. So if the seed is kind of oblong like this distance right here, the sort of width of the seed, it needs to be buried at least twice that deep. That will make your little seed have the right amount of soil above it to keep it covered, but still sense the light. So I got the spinach planted, and while I'm working, I just wanted to chat about a couple of things that, I don't know, have been on my mind and that seeds make me think about. Where did the arugula go? There it is. Found it. Love that noise. Seeds are so cool. Seeds are the story of abundance, that one of these seeds might grow, could grow, can grow a plant that will generate perhaps hundreds of them. Sharing seeds, keeping seed lineages alive, adapting seed lineages to particular places, to particular communities are central to the history of humans collaborating with our ecology, which is what gardening is, to get the things that we need and to stay connected to our own lineages of place, of people, in ways that are in right relationship as much as possible. I tend to plant seeds when I want to feel happy and when I want to feel hope, especially if I'm not feeling hope. I feel very lucky in my life right now. My personal, very micro, local life, I feel very lucky. If you scale out from there, it's a really, really scary, dangerous time, especially for disabled and chronically ill people, especially for queer and trans people, especially for people of color. And anytime we're talking about place and land and safety and sovereignty, which are things that gardening and DIY can and should provide us and our communities with, we also have to talk about the systems and people in power working against those kinds of safety and using borders, which are a thing that do not exist ecologically. Seeds travel across fence lines all the time. They travel across national borders. Genetic material in ecology moves, and the same is true of people. We move, we try to find habitat and food and ways of staying alive in a good way for ourselves and our communities, and that is built into our ecological being, our animal being. And a lot of people are under threat right now for doing things that are just about trying to survive and thrive, which is the fundamental nature of life. We want to survive, we want to connect, we want to thrive, and we want to help others thrive, right? Like, that's actually built in. We are a social animal, and we have managed to build a society that isn't built on that principle very well right now. So the first thing to say about all of that is that you're safe here. As safe as you can be on the internet, which, you know, I don't know how safe that is anymore. But with me in this place, whatever you are experiencing in the wider world right now in terms of feeling under threat for who you are safe here and you are welcome here, and this is for you. I will be very, very clear that hate is absolutely not welcome here. If any of these views make you not want to follow me, great, then we're not a match. That's okay. This is a channel about land-based living, which means that it is either explicitly for or implicitly against liberation. It is explicitly for liberation of all people and of this planet. So that said, what does sustainable, accessible community agency or individual agency and safety look like in this moment where so many are feeling so powerless? Obviously, for me, an act of reclaiming my agency is to plant seeds. But what if you can't do that physically? I love gardening and DIY and farmsteading and land-based living and tinkering and crafting because it happens where that very bottom foundational layer of the pyramid of human needs intersects with joy, creativity, and connection. We need nourishment. I find agency where I can meet my and my community's need for nourishment, doing something that I enjoy, find creative, and find connective. Even if I'm alone, I'm isolated socially, it's still connective. There's other beings here. These seeds will grow into other beings. And I'm collaborating with the soil microbes, and I'm talking to you all. For me, where joy and creative activity and connection intersect with meeting those baseline needs, shelter, food, water, connection, it's, like, that's actually on the fundamental level. Medicine, those things on that fundamental level, anywhere that we can relocalize and get into our own hands the tending of those things in ways that are joyful, connective, creative, nourishing to us and nourishing to the land, that is where a sense of agency and safety lie for me. And hope comes after I do those activities. So once I plant the seeds, I'll feel hopeful. I don't access a feeling of hope and then plant the seeds. I feel extremely pessimistic about human social systems and political systems and economic systems right now. But I do feel a lot of faith in our hyperlocal, right where we are, place-based, long-standing knowledge of how to take care of ourselves and each other. And if you can learn one skill that sits at that intersection for you, that's one of those lineages, whether it's how to grow food, how to make yogurt, how to knit a sweater, something that provides one of those fundamental needs and provides beauty, joy, connection, creativity, which are also fundamental needs, I think that's what hope is. I believe very strongly in pragmatic hope. Hope for me is something that happens outside, not internally. And if I want to experience hope internally, I often need to access something externally that makes me feel creative, joyful, and a sense of actual, literal, tangible, three-dimensional agency. That gets really tricky when you're disabled sometimes, because especially if you have one of the chronic illnesses that can leave you bedbound, sensory deprivation, doing is no longer part of your life. Me preaching about doing an activity in order to experience a sense of hope and resilience and safety in skilling up is absolutely beyond ableist, right? Not everyone can do those things. So that's part of why I mentioned community, right? How am I thinking about growing food and planting enough seeds that I can also give some of the food away? Rob Hopkins, the founder of the Transition Town movement, which you might want to check out if you're interested in how communities are working to meet their needs post-peak oil, so like without petroleum. I saw him speak once at a permaculture convergence, and he said, I do not want to be the only one with carrots when the apocalypse comes, right? When the systems go down, if they go down, which some of them are, if I'm the only one with carrots, that's not a position of safety and security for me, right? Hoarding the carrots, being the only one having carrots, growing the carrots. I want to grow carrots so that other people have carrots. And I also want my neighbor down the street growing carrots, right? Because what if my land floods? We need to do the joyful, abundant things in order to take care of each other if we can. And for those who cannot do those things, to not be relegated to the sides, the margins of society, but rather centered in how we're thinking about agency and community nourishment and resilience right now is so important, because we are seeing drastic increases in the number of people with chronic illnesses and disabilities from the epidemiological situation of the planet right now, from burnout in the face of these systems, from trauma in the face of these systems of oppression and harm, from war, right? War creates immense amounts of disability in all kinds of ways. And so we can't keep thinking of disability as an afterthought when we think about building resilient human communities to meet our needs for food, shelter, water, clothing, medicine, care, joy, a planet that's not being actively destroyed. Our need for that, right? We've got to start centering disability, elderhood, these things that the systems that are currently going into extreme levels of the violence that was already built into them politically and economically in this particular country, they already disregard, those systems already disregard meeting those baseline needs of disabled people, of elders, of parents, of little kids, right? Like those are not built into our systems. So anything you can do that's fun for you, that reconnects you to your community in meeting those needs for yourself and each other, even if it's just watching this video, and I don't even want to say just, even if it's watching this video, that is an intersection of the fundamental, baseline, foundational part of the pyramid of needs and joy. Because connection and community are actually on that, right? Like we know that we experience fear of losing the social group, or the threat of losing the social group as a physical danger akin to other major fight or flight physical dangers. And that's because for us, the social ecosystem is fundamental. So if you're just simply watching this or listening to this and hanging out, like that is also an activity of hope. It is meeting a need, and it's not unidirectional. It's meeting the need for me too, because I'm also disabled and I have to do my work asynchronously and alone. If you are hanging out here, if you comment, like that's not unidirectional for you. That means so much more to me than I can possibly say. We're connecting across time and space. We're traveling and we're creating non-local communities of connection and creativity and agency. So if all that you get today is companionship and you didn't do, that's great. Seed sovereignty, food sovereignty, habitat sovereignty, sovereignty meaning like we can have agency over and control the means of producing those things for ourselves, are things that I believe in. I believe that people have a right to housing. And if they are not given housing, they have a right to create their own shelter. Those are all cool skills you can learn. All these things that humans were doing, we've created systems that require those things to happen through purchase. through very, very, very extended, highly complex supply chains. So then in these moments when we see those systems either fall apart or show their true colors or both, it's very terrifying. So the fear is real, and it is a real motivator. My invitation is, can you find things that nourish you, that bring you joy, that keep you going, that keep you here? Because we need you to stay here. We need you to stay. So can you find those things that are at that intersection? And I'm going to just keep sharing what those are for me on this channel. And I have a lot of them, because this is the work I really love to do. Is like, how are we going to live instead? I find that to be the most creative, compelling question, because I think there's so much fun and creativity and also capacity and effectiveness in like, how are we going to live instead of this thing? Because this thing is hurting us. But if that's too big right now, if you're like really just in that feeling the danger, I just want to say, I hear you. It's really scary. Choose something simple, like hanging out, watching YouTube videos of people growing food for their communities. Because people do know, we know how to take care of ourselves and each other. We've been taught that we do not. And a lot of us don't experience getting that care. We've been separated out, isolated, and we can work to rebuild those points of connection, to bring back into relationship what has been violently separated, which is you and me, us and the seeds, us and the land. And that's really what true sustainable ecological design is. Adding accessibility to it, we're going to have to get really creative, as disabled people have always done. So pick something. Let me know in the comments what you're going to pick to either learn or that you want me to do a video about. If being with is what your capacity is right now, and that's how you're here, that we're just hanging and building community, and you're just staying alive and finding joy and connection and creativity through this channel, thank you. What skills do you want to see me do? Do you want to watch me learn how to whittle? Do you want to watch me knit? Do you want to learn about how to make yogurt? Do you want to learn some knot tying, which is a skill I weirdly have? What's fun for you to watch me do and to watch me try to figure out how to do with my new limitations? For example, I'm only planting one seedling tray. I would like to plant like 4 of these, but I know I don't have the capacity to take care of 4 of them right now. I don't have enough space. I will forget if I put them further away. I don't want to waste seed if I end up getting really, really flared and can't water the plants and they all die. I want to like invite you to skill up or to connect or both, whichever one feels within your capacity right now. You can access community through storytelling. You can access hope through storytelling. That's what novels are. That's what movies are in many cases. And that's what YouTube is. For me anyway, this is storytelling. And that is a way to have community that has always been, again, a part of human society. We find hope in our stories. We need you here. You're welcome here. And I hope that we can keep finding these pragmatic, tangible points of hope for the future, because the seed requires the future to become the food, right? We have to have a future in order for this to turn into anything. So if you can just stick around long enough to see if my spinach grows, please do that. That was a lot of chatting. I'm not even done with this. I am going to finish it. But I just want to say, seedling care-wise, I'm going to water these every other day because it is winter and I don't want them to sit in water and then rot. Hope is a thing that comes from action that you do, connection that you have, creativity, companionship. These are all activities. You don't need to feel hopeful in order to access eventually feeling hope again. You do hope. Hope is a thing you do first and feel second. It's also okay if you just can't access hope right now. Just hang out and stick with me to see if the spinach grows. If you want to learn specifics of how to plant seedlings, get them into bigger pots, get them into the ground, watering, weeding, cover crop, I'm gonna go put my video class. It's an intro to accessible, sustainable gardening, and it goes over exactly how to plant a seedling, how to transplant the seedling, how to water and what's going on with the soil when you're watering, how to weed, and a little bit about cover crops, as well as a quick and dirty garden design video to talk about how to plan your garden. I'm going to put that on sale. It's up on my website as a digital download. It also, once you buy it, has the link to the YouTube playlist. So if you want to watch it on here, you can. It's a secret YouTube playlist for folks who buy the class. And I'm going to put it on sale. There's also a discount for folks who join the Member Village, which is basically a Patreon. There's an additional discount on anything in the shop, including video classes. So if you're wanting to learn the details of how to do this, I filmed it at a time when I was very, very ill. And so it's a lot of just me talking to the camera. If that's how you like to learn, watching that or listening to that, then it might be a great fit for you. If you tend to learn more visually and you would like a zine about how to plant seedlings, let me know in the comments, and if enough people are interested in that, I will work on it. Okay, this video has gotten very long. I just want to say thank you for being here, and all the links for all that stuff will be in the description down below, but it's all on my website, which is racheleconomy.com. If you're not subscribed and you want to hang out and have more pragmatic hope and disabled DIY, chronically ill gardening, hang around. I upload on Fridays. Yeah, I really think of like my life and this channel as experiments in building the world that we need now. So if that sounds like something you want to hang out with, then I hope you stick around. Thank you for planting seeds with me, and I'll see you next time on Disabled Farm School, where gardening is for everybody. We're just trying to figure out how, together.